Hola mi gente, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Alba Mar, me pueden decir Alba. El canal se llama Seriela, estamos aquí para hablar de libros, algunos de ellos en español, desde Puerto Rico. Hello, my name is Alba Mar, you may call me Alba. Channel name is Seriela, we're here to talk about books and some of them in Spanish from Puerto Rico. And in commemoration of International Women's Day, I powered through this book. Teresa Angleró Sepúlveda, primera organizadora de las trabajadoras de la industria de la aguja de Puerto Rico, the first organizer of women in the industry of needlework in Puerto Rico, by Puerto Rican historian Bianca Medina Baez. I didn't want this day to finish without talking about this complicated story. Teresa Angleró was born in a small western rural town of Maricao, Puerto Rico in 1900, 2 years after the United States invaded Puerto Rico. And she already had one half-sister. And by the time that she got into school, a new public school system that was instituted and established by the new regime, she had several stepmothers. One of her stepmothers came from St. Thomas, so that Teresa learned English at home. Unlike her older half-sister, she learned English at home. Not only that, having contact with St. Thomas, that was something new to me. She also had a Haitian grandmother on her father's side. What I liked about this book was, you guys know that I love historical context. And this historian pays very special attention to what was happening in Puerto Rico at that time. From the hurricanes right after and before the invasion, to the conversion of the agricultural system to monopoly, a sugar monopoly by the sugar barons and their land grab, to the changes in the public education system, which started to teach in English. And of course, she, having spoken English at home, had that advantage. To also the surge of the sewing industry in Puerto Rico, both in sweatshops and in houses run by women with their entire family members. And why? What happened in Puerto Rico and in the United States to cause so many people to work in the sewing industry? Now, part of that had to do with the downtime that sugarcane workers went through as part of cultivating sugarcane. There was a downtime, and many workers were unemployed during that time. So women were practically forced to do all kinds of labor, including needlework, and I can imagine also cooking and cleaning and laundry stuff, to make ends meet. There was also World War I. World War I uh, as you know, was in 1918, right after a big earthquake in Mayagüez, which also caused a lot of unemployment. And with the needs of the Red Cross for World War I, many of the owners of sweatshops in the United States, looking for cheaper workforce, came to Puerto Rico and started looking for workers. Yeah, it was eye-opening. I loved the way she started the book and how I got to picture Puerto Rico at the beginning of the 20th century. It even includes a visit from Eleanor Roosevelt in 1934 as part of the New Deal. Now, it so happens that this black woman organizer was the daughter of a carpenter who was affiliated to a union that belonged to the Free Federation of Workers, which was also affiliated to the American Federation of Labor in 1901. As soon as the invasion happened, they affiliated to the American Federation of Workers. And the head of that union was Santiago Iglesias Pantin. Now, Santiago Iglesias Pantin is, to me, an enigmatic character, and I would love to read a good biography of Santiago Iglesias Pantin because he was a Spanish anarchist as a young man who came to Puerto Rico and preached anarchy until he was imprisoned here in Puerto Rico. And upon coming out of prison, he was suddenly not an anarchist anymore and was a proponent of annexation to the United States. And not only that, he was a supposed president of a supposed socialist party, which was not socialist at all. And that political party made a coalition with the Republican Party of Puerto Rico. Talk about strange bedfellows. So all of that made this a fascinating book for me. Not a happy read, a very complicated read, sometimes a painful read. This woman became a teacher at a very young age. And because she knew English, she became an English teacher during a time in which the students themselves protested time and time again against the imposition of a foreign language as the main vehicle of instruction in public schools. So there were a lot of protests. There were also a lot of strikes because of the poor wages, not only for the sugarcane workers, but also for the needle workers. So she organized at the behest of the Socialist Party, to which her father belonged, right, and to the Free Federation of Workers, to which her father belonged. She became a liaison because she knew English. So whenever the union leaders and liaison people from the United States would come to the island, she served as interpreter and later on became a paid organizer for the union. And all of that is very problematic in the colony, because you have the unions that represent the interests of workers in the United States over the interests of workers here in the colony. Then you have a leader of a party who later becomes part of the administration, of the colonial administration. Santiago Iglesias Pantin became the resident commissioner, the delegate from Puerto Rico that doesn't have a vote, has voice but no vote. Yeah. And but anyway, part of the colonial government. And through that person is how Puerto Rico receives some of the funds, federal funding that it receives. So you have this union worker who works for the colonial administration, handing out federal funding, not only to the island, but also to the union. So it was a very complex read. It's not only about her as a human being, as an activist, as a humanitarian, because she took in a lot of poor children into her household along with her own son, because she saw the need that many of the women, both in the sweatshops and in the home-based areas of needlework. So it's not only a story about her, it's a story of labor and trade unionism and imperialist unions here in Puerto Rico. It was sobering. I liked most of the book. I could have done without the parts that had to do with the history of maternity, for example, and the eugenics and neo-Malthusianism, because as part of union campaigns, there was a thrust in the 30s, early 30s, mid 30s, to have clinics for birth control. And one of the things that was emphasized as part of unionism for women workers was that controlling, that birth control led to a better life, because a lot of the women had 6, 8, maybe 10 children. And that's one of the reasons why many of the workers wanted to work from home, right? And didn't want to go or couldn't go into the workshops, into the sweatshops. Yeah, that was one of the conflicts that she had to face, and was criticized for the fact that she spoke against working from home, because it led to so many abuses, not only for the mothers but also for the children that were put to work in under those sometimes unhealthy circumstances. So yeah, I'm glad I read this. Teresa Angleró Sepúlveda, the first organizer of women. Sad ending when the American Federation of Labor separated from the CIO, to which the International Ladies Garment Workers Union belonged. And that, as long as you're receiving funds from these people, their funds were cut. And eventually Teresa had to stop organizing. She could no longer do it. But that didn't mean she stopped being active, and she remained an active member of the community, both here in Puerto Rico and in New York City, until the end of her life in 1979. So I'm glad I read this book, and I salute every single woman, because every single woman is a worker in and out of the home. Take care, everybody. We haven't come out of it yet. Be safe. Take care. Keep on reading. Hello to the new subscribers. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Sigan leyendo, mi gente. Los quiero mucho. Adiós.